Hello and welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Irma and you can find me on YouTube, Ravelry and Instagram as Wolwerkjes. Welcome everybody. I hope you enjoy watching this little piece of the internet where I talk about my knitting. On my lap here is a cat, so that's why I'm looking down sometimes. Welcome, I talk here about knitting and I share the things I finish, the things I work on and other things I just want to share with you over here. And I will start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my sheep shawl. It's a pattern by Marja de Haan. It's more a wrap than a shawl, but the longer I use it, the softer and more flexible the yarn gets. So I am able to knot it around as a scarf as I just did. And it's huge, very, very big. And I love it. It's really cozy and warm, and it's the perfect thing to throw around when you're a little bit chilled in the evenings or when the sun is out, but not quite enough to be able to sit outside. It's a lovely thing to wrap around. So I will just put it back, like it was quite big in the screen I saw just now, so I will just improvise a bit. There's a big piece on my lap now, but it's better, otherwise I will get really hot when I'm talking. So that's what I'm wearing, and I will tell you about the things I'm working on. I worked on quite a few things and I had a day more knitting to share with you than usual, and I will tell you why at the end of the episode, because I don't think everybody will want me to talk about it, but that's for further away. Now just the things I've worked on. One of the things I worked on was my, I'm not going to pronounce it. It's a pattern in the new Laine magazine, so Laine issue 7. I'll put a name on the screen of this pattern, and I really love working on it. And this is the piece I'm working on now. And for people who've watched the previous episode, it looks like I've not done that much, but the part I just showed you was the front panel, and I have already finished the back panel, so I did quite some knitting on this one. The top is a little bit looking different than it will be, because all my stitches are on one needle with some stitches bound off in the middle, so that looks a little bit strange. You can see the lace detail at both sides here. I hope that's showing off with the light today. I think it will a little bit. And yeah, I love it. I love working on it. Both yarns together are so soft, so that's nice. And it's growing quite fast because I'm holding a DK and a lace mohair silk together, and so it gives you a little bit thicker yarn than DK, and it knits up quite fast. But it still is quite a big piece and quite a lot of stitches, because it's a pattern with a lot of positive ease, so it will be really loose on me. And I'm happy with the colors I chose as well. I'm using the sole base from Hillesvolk Ulwerkfabriek. It's a Norwegian brand, and we are lucky that there is a shop in Holland that sells it. So the first time I used it for this wrap as well. And the first time I used it, I bought it at Burgin Festival in Norway. It was the first time I saw and felt the yarn. And I'm so happy they're selling it in Holland as well, because I think it's a brand I will gravitate to quite easily. It's not that expensive, it's quite a reasonable value for the yarn you get. It's 100% wool, and this is even lamb's wool, so it's even softer. And I think they're really great with their price and the product you get. I think it's really, really good. And the mohair, that's the light base, so this I'm always almost out of through this skein. I have 2 skeins left when I'm finished with this one. This is the sole base of them, and I use the light undyed color. Really, really squishy and soft. And the green yarn I'm using is my silk mohair, and it's the silk mohair from Vilcolana, and it's their Tilia base. I hope that will focus. Come on. It's a really, I don't think this is exactly the color, representing the color right, but I think it's close. I think in real life it's a little bit lighter, but it's always hard to see colors on camera. And I really like this color, and it's a heaven to knit with. It's really, really soft. I do find that when you knit with mohair, I do find cat hair everywhere because we have a cat in the house, but I also find the green halo of this yarn. I don't know if you can see the halo, but all those fluff can come off quite easily off the yarn. And I find it everywhere on my clothes when I'm knitting on it. I have to say it's not that bad, and I noticed that as soon as it is knit up. I was afraid that because I found it everywhere on my, most of the times, black leggings, so you can see everything on it. I was first afraid when I was knitting on it that it will be a problem when wearing it, but I noticed that the most of the hair that's coming off is when I'm knitting and not in the knitted piece. So that's really nice. I'm really happy with it. I hope I have enough yarn. I'm sure I have enough of the mohair, because I was a little bit afraid I would run out of the mohair when I was buying the yarn, because I calculated the amount of yarn I would need, and Laine is really good in saying the meterage used in the pattern at their gauge. So I calculated the amounts, and for the mohair I had exactly the amount of yarn when I bought 5 skeins. It was exactly on the spot amount I would need, and I don't like using, then I will be afraid I have too little, then I will run out of yarn. So I bought 6 balls of the mohair, so I'm pretty sure I will manage this garment with the mohair. But the decay yarn, the sole base, I calculated, and the amount I needed was within 4 skeins. So I was like, okay, I will have a little bit left over of that 4th skein. I won't need a 5th skein. But now I'm knitting. I think I will get the garment out of the 4 skeins. But it's quite close, because I finished the back piece and I'm knitting on the front piece, and I'm this far along. So I will still need quite some inches or centimeters of this front piece to knit. This is the only amount I have left of the 2nd skein. So then I have 2 skeins. Oh, I don't know if you can hear it. I think you definitely saw the light changing over these few minutes, but it's, I don't know the English word, like the ice stones falling out of the air, and it's sticking on the window, so I hope you won't hear that. But I have quite some knitting to do on the front piece. This is the amount of yarn I've left from the second skein. So I have 2 skeins left after I knit up these. And I think I don't need a whole skein to finish the front. So I will have like 1.5 skeins to finish the sleeves. And most of the times I think sleeves need more yarn than I think. But this is a really wide fitting garment, and I think the sleeves are quite short in proportion because it's a dropped shoulder. So I think the sweater will end here, so you have quite a short sleeve to knit. So I think I will manage, but it's quite close. So we will see about that, and because it's an undyed base, I know you still have to be worried about lot numbers, but in my opinion way less than when it's hand dyed, for example. And because I'm marling it with the green yarn, I don't think it will show when I have to buy another skein at last, and it will be in the sleeve, so it won't be in the body part. So I think no one will see that when I should have to buy a new skein, but I hope I won't. This project is living in a project bag I made. It's a finished object, I forgot. It's not the most pretty one, but it's made out of scraps. And I always love working with scraps because you never know what you're gonna end up with. Because when I work with scraps, I don't plan the project. I know what I'm going to make. I know around the measurements I want, but then I will just start sewing pieces together and see how it will work out. So this is the bag I made. And it's really fun. It's not something I would sell in this way, I think. Especially the ribbon is just the leftover ribbon. I think I got it on a present or something. I kept it and I used to tie this project bag now. So it's really scrappy project. But the reason I made it was because I was looking for measurements for a project bag I want to make to sell, and that's why I made it. So now I have for myself a really nice scrappy bag, and I am a lot wiser in the measurements I want to make for the shop. People who've watched quite some episodes already maybe notice this fabric. It's knitted on my knitting machine. I was going to knit myself a sweater on the knitting machine, but when I came to the sleeves, I was calculating and I knew I took my arm measurement at the top. I knew I took it not in the right way, and I was calculating, and the amount of stitches that came out, I was like, that will be a really fitted sleeve. But I was also tired and just wanted to go on. So I did, and the sleeves were way too tight. I grabbed it all together, and when the sweater was finished, I was sure, no, I'm not gonna wear this. This is really too tight. It's not flattering at all. So I just cut off the sleeves and used the front and the back panel as scraps in my fabric stash. So that's a piece of that is now in my scrappy bag. So that's nice. This is a little bit, as you can see, it's almost exploding. Not in the way that the seams are not holding or anything, but more like you can see there's quite a lot of yarn in this bag. My sweater just fits. I have to put it down a bit when I draw the drawstrings, but it's not bothering me, but I will make a even bigger one than this for the shop as well, for people who have bigger sizes or a really enormous shawl or a fingering weight sweater when you need more skeins of yarn. Less skeins of yarn. When you're knitting a bulky sweater and you need more skeins of yarn, that it will fit in the bag as well. So I will make a larger one that's going up in height. And I will also make a smaller one for the 1 skein or 2 skein project that will be less wide, so smaller. I'm not going to show you the fabrics I'm going to use. That will be a surprise, but it will be really comparable with this shape because I really like it. So that's that. It was my first work in progress. Another project I worked on. Oh, I have another finished object. I forgot, I'm not used to counting my sewing projects as things I show in this podcast, but maybe I should. I also finished a sweater for a jumper for my smallest son. I haven't showed you yet. I'm not going to get it now, but I will show it next time, because it's nice to see more than only knitting sometimes, and I like to do all the stuff, so that's nice. I also finished this bag. It's like a pouch and with a clip on it, and when you open it, it's like going out in this way. I really like this fabric. It's really fun. And I made kind of pockets in here and some zippers, so I have also closed spaces, and I use this for all my knitting tools. I wanted a place to keep all my knitting tools together. I've got my Haya set in here, and I'm in doubt if for my Knit Pro set, I made this. It fits right in the bag, and I have all my needles together because my original package it came in was of cardboard and elastic, and I used it quite a long time. But it finally was falling apart, so I wanted a nice place to put those. So I made this that fits in this bag quite easily, so that's nice. And I'm in doubt if I want to do it for the Haya set as well, because what I don't like is this rope that goes around a knot, and it isn't staying well. The first thing is this one is way too low to fit over the knot, and no, it's not working for me. And I've also had a few problems with the needles that they fell out, because it's really a small set with really tiny with really tiny needles. So I had ones that they fell out because it's not really closed in, but I'm still using it. It fits in here, so maybe I will make one of these for my Hayas as well, but we will see. And I've got my stitch markers in here, my little, how you call it, so I can weigh my yarn. I don't know the name now. Scale, my mini scale. It's a scale. So, and my measurement tape and all those things fit in here, my cable needles, and I will have just one place to go look for things, so that's really nice. I could have made it nicer, but at the end I just wanted it done, and it's fulfilling its purpose, so that's nice. Works in progress, knitting wise. Let's see, I knit quite some bit on the blanket I'm making for friends. I don't know if you can see the progress, but I did quite some knitting, so there definitely is progress. It's not really that interesting to show, it's just a 2x2 rib, and I knitted quite some bits. I still have 6 balls to go, and this is how far I am in the fourth one. So not really that far. I think I'm on 1/3 or something. It's a nice yarn. I don't know if I should, if I would choose this yarn again, but I do like the color. It's a little bit blown out. I think this is more accurate. It's a really dark blue with tweed flecks in it, so it's really nice. It's a blend I think I won't choose again, but again, it was in my stash and I promised them this blanket, so I just have to knit it. The only thing is I wanted it to finish before they came over, I think last week. I didn't finish it. I had to knit a whole ball every day to make it in time, and then one of the days something came up and I couldn't knit as much as I wanted, so it was a lost cause. A ball a day is really a lot, and it's not a project that keeps my interest a lot. It's 2x2 rib, it's okay. It gives a really nice fabric, but it's not really that interesting. So now I knit on it every day a little bit, sometimes 2 rows, sometimes a little bit more, and it's okay. It's perfect for television knitting and those things, or when I'm watching my children, but they don't really need my full attention. It's a great project to work on. So that's lying around in our living room to work on, and I think I did 1.5 ball, skein ball, the past 2 weeks, so that's quite nice. It will be finished before summer. Then she can use it outside when it's a little bit chilly in the evenings. Not my most interesting work in progress. Let's see, other works in progress. My mittens. My effie mittens. Patterned by Ellie from Skeindeerknits. I've not completely finished the first one because there still has to be put a thumb in there, but the biggest part of this is finished, and I like to do my thumbs together at the end. Finished it, almost. Half finished object. But as much as I love the gauge and the yarn and the pattern and everything, the weather is not helping me with finishing these, but because there isn't really that much use for them anymore here. Sometimes I'm outside and I think like, oh, if I had finished them, I would still wear them. But the longer I wait to finish them, the warmer it gets and the less I had the urge to finish them. So, but I will finish them one day, definitely before next winter, because I really want to wear them. And when I take off my watch, I can show you the fit. And I really love the fit. I can still move my fingers around. The thumb isn't hurting at the top part, because some mittens have like a really small opening for your thumb, and that can be quite irritating, but it's a perfect fit, and I really want to wear them in cold weather when they're finished. So quite some progress, because I think last time I was somewhere here, and it's not a project I gravitate to at this moment because of the weather, so I think I did quite a good job. Putting my watch back on again. Just wait a minute. So. Otherwise I will forget and I will be like, oh, I lost my watch. No, you didn't. It's just on your couch. I started the second one. But not started. I don't think I can call this started. I cast on the stitches and that's it. I didn't even knit around. But I know they're cast on, it's the right amount of stitches, so I can start as soon as I want. So that's nice. 3 works in progress already. That's quite some. Not my usual way of working. But it's nice to show off a little more stuff than just one project. Another work in progress, my second to last, is, I don't know if you remember these, if you are a regular viewer. Ooh, I dropped a stitch. A sock. Last year I did a sock each month. I'm not going to do that this year. This is the sock I started the first week of January. So definitely not finishing a sock each month. But I didn't have the goal to, so that's okay. It's a Regia yarn. And it's one of the designs by Arne and Carlos. It's self-patterning, so that's really funny. I knitted quite a long leg and I turned the heel. I did a fish lips kiss heel, and now I only have to finish the foot and the toe and the second sock because it's still the first one. But I think when I picked it up I was somewhere over here or something. So I did quite some work, and yeah, I like the color. I got this for my parents as a present, so it's always nice to knit with present gifted yarn. I don't know why I did such a big leg, because normally I wear my socks. When I have store-bought socks, I prefer the ankle height, not really long socks. When I knit myself, I do a little bit more. I do like half a leg maybe. But this is quite a big leg for me, especially because I have quite tiny feet. And I think it's always really funny when you have the socks and the leg is longer than the sock itself. It's funny to see. So most of the times I pair them up or I knit the leg shorter. But this one will be definitely longer than my feet. So other work in progress. I'm knitting these on the Haya flyers. And I'm still not 100% sure these are my needles, and I was thinking why. I think in the beginning I had a problem with the place where you switch the needle, that it was more visible where that point was than when I do magic loop. But I think I have that under control now. It's not really showing off in the... I think here I did quite a good job. But it's something in the way of holding the needles. And when I'm doing magic loop, I kind of anchor my pinky around the cable of the needle. But because these are short and flexible in a way, I can't really have that grip. And I had the same problem with the 9-inch, that my hands get a little bit more sore, or I'm pulling off my shoulders more than I should do. So I'm not sure yet, but I noticed that I can like fold the needle double, and then I can grip the back piece of the needle with my pinky. And then it works better. So we will see. I think it's quite a good mix between double pointed needles and the magic loop, because when you don't need the cable for support of your hands, it works the same as magic loop. So that's quite nice. And I start dropping my... Last time I talked about this, I said I was so used to pulling out the needle. When magic looping, you pull out one needle to go round again. And how many times I took out the needle or dropped the needle I just knit from, because it's empty and not attached to your work anymore. It was really funny to watch me searching for the needle all the time. But I think I have that under control now, and now it's getting comfortable with holding the needles. It's really portable, because with the magic loop you have the cable attached and it can cling to things in your bag, and then when you put out your work your needle is gone, and oh, it can be a mess. And I think I have that problem less with these needles, so that's nice. Then I have one other work in progress, if you can call it that, because I only did cast on. I casted on a few stitches and it's going to be knit in the round, so either a sock or a mitten, and it's going to be a fingerless mitten. And I'm knitting this out of my own hand spun yarn, out of a neutral color. It's I don't know the yarn base. I started spinning last year, I think, and I bought some fiber and I started spinning things, and this is one of the things I spun. It's a 3-ply, it's an Avio 3-ply, so instead of having 3 separate spun singles and ply them together, you have one spun single and you do like a crochet loop when you're plying it, and then you get 3 strands turned together. And I think I did quite a nice job. It's not regular, it's quite regular, but it's always has more variation in thickness, a hand spun, than a store-bought yarn. So that's the fun of a hand knit, a hand spun yarn, and I really like it. And I did this on a wheel that I borrowed. It was a really old wheel, and I think I would be able to fix it by putting on a new cable and stuff, tension cable. But there were also parts like moving too much around when you were spinning, so it was on the point of breaking, and every few rounds I need to rearrange everything to make sure that my spindle wouldn't come off. So that was quite something to spin on that. So there was one project still on the spinning wheel. I hadn't touched it in quite some time, and I was like, I will just spin it, and then when I feel the urge to spin again, I take my drop spindle, or I have to save up for a new wheel. And the project that was on there was a really ugly mix of a really soft pink and a really strange color of mint green, and I blended them together because I don't know why. It was really a bad color choice. I think it had to do with the fact that I thought of over dyeing it already when I was making the blend, and I just wanted to see what those blending techniques, what became of the yarn then. So I had a really strange color of yarn, and I over dyed it with a dark green. And you can still see the pink spots in there, and you get like a dirty green in some spots. But it's for my own use, and it's fine. I will use it. And I thought of pairing it together with this color, and those two together look quite lovely, I think. So that will be a project. It's also an Avio 3-ply, but way less good spun than the other one. There's more variation in the thickness of the yarn, and one of the causes for that is that the wheel really starts falling apart at the end. So it was really hard to tension the yarn in the right way to make the right thickness at the end. So that's why it's more variegated in thickness, but again, it's for home use and you learn from things that go wrong, so I don't mind that much, maybe a little, but we will see. And the thing I'm going to try to make, and I'm not sure yet, but I'm trying it, is the mittens of the fingerless mitts also in the new laine issue. And let me see if I can find a picture of them. There is a gradient used in the pattern, but I'm going to use just one contrast color because I didn't want to dye 3 colors, and I don't even know if I have enough yarn for this project. So I'm just going to try it, and if it doesn't work out, I will just rip out and make something else. But these are the mittens, and you can see there's like a gradient from lighter blue in the bottom to a darker blue at the top, or the other way around. I don't know how they're orientated on this picture. So I think that's nice. And they were laying, I have like a place the cat can come, and they were lying there as twisted skeins, just as decoration, and every day you walk past it and you think, oh, they're nice, I just want to make something out of it. So I just casted it on. And those are my finished, those are my works in progress. I don't have any future knitting plans at this moment. I'm thinking of dyeing up some yarn to make myself a boxy, but I'm not sure yet. That's a lot of knitting, and everybody that made one loves the fit and loves wearing it, but was a little bit in struggle to finish it because it's a lot of stitches in the round. And I also know of people that knitted it on the knitting machine and then hand knitted the cuffs and the sleeves, I think. But I'm not sure if I want to do that, because then you have to knit at the same gauge as your machine does, and I'm not sure I will be able to match that up without being it noticeable. So we will see what becomes of that. Oh, watch, those are lying around. This is, I cut out the pattern pieces for the bags I'm going to make out of plastic, because it's reusable. Normally when I just make something once or maybe twice, I cut it out of pattern paper. But this is going to be a pattern I'm going to use quite a lot more than once or twice. So I knitted the pattern pieces out of plastic, because it will be more durable. I will be able to use it quite a lot, and even if I want to change something on the pattern, I can still use the same plastic and cut out a new pattern piece. So I think that was a good idea, and it saves me time in measuring everything the pattern every time again. So, and I knitted it out of how do you call it, placemats for on the table, and they were like under €1 a piece, and they had llamas on it. Those were the cheapest one they had, so I just went for the cheapest one. But they have llamas on it and they're dressed up, and I really found it appropriate for the use I am having out of them. So that's really funny. My coffee is getting cold. I really need to drink of it. So another thing I want to talk about is, I said I had a day extra of knitting. That wasn't on purpose. Yesterday my husband and I were luckily home alone, and we were in our living room and kitchen are separated from the rest of the house by a door. And we went for some shopping and we came home, and I put my handbag in the near the stairs. So at one side of the door, I walked back, I closed the door, and I was thinking, oh, I left something in there. And I went back, and then the door wouldn't open. And our front door was at the other side of the door. So we were locked in our living room. And there is a way out of the living room, but it was locked and the keys were on the other side of the door. So there was no way for us to get out of the room. Luckily we have neighbors with a spare key. And we called them, we spammed them, called them, apped them, tried to message them, and finally we got in touch, and they could come in our house at the other side of the door that we were, and they were able to put the key underneath the door, so we could at least walk around the house and get to all the parts of the house where the tools were that we maybe could open the door with, and those things. The toilet was on the other side. So we were finally able to reach all the points of the house, but every time we have to walk outside around the house to get from one side to the other. So that was really not that easy. And we tried to open up the lock and get it out, but it was so broken, it was stuck. And we were not able to fix it ourselves, so there had to come someone to help us break open the door. And it was quite some story, but it was the afternoon I wanted to record, and yeah, I'm not going to record. I didn't have all my stuff, that was one thing. And the other thing was I'm not going to record when I know I can be interrupted, because then I have to fix it. When I am interrupted, it isn't a big deal. But when I know upfront that I probably will be interrupted, I won't record. So I had the afternoon knitting. I had some knitting with me in the room, so I could knit something. And I think we were stuck here for 2-3 hours. So I had quite some time of knitting. But that was really a story. And you feel so helpless when you want to open a door and it isn't. And you know there's no way out. You're like, okay, so I'm stuck here and now. It was really strange. But we fixed it. There's a new lock in the door. It wasn't even a door that could be locked. There's not a new lock, but it was just the opening piece that broke off. And yeah, really strange. But we have a new one and we can open the door again. But yeah, we have some damage, so we have to repaint the door and fix some things. But the main thing is that it works again. So that's really nice. I don't think I have anything else to talk about now. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you within 2 weeks. Bye!